Brush them all around. Brush them up and down. Hiya! I guarantee Phil remembers that. George Danke was his name, dude. He used to do it every Sunday.
Where was this at?
Broome Tioga Sports Center, baby.
Broome Tioga.
One of the worst tracks on earth.
What's so bad about it?
Oh, dude, that place was a shithole. No traction. Concrete start for one. I sucked on concrete starts. But besides that, so I'd get a shitty start, but then I wouldn't get to make up for it during the moto because the track was just as shitty. It's so bad.
Talking to your mic a little bit.
The maiden voyage.
Maiden voyage.
Here we are.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. That even sounds better for me. I don't even really know what I'm listening for, and that sounds better.
Yeah, I touched it, and it just went. It went.
Maiden voyage. Here we are.
Maiden voyage.
I'm glad to get it going, dude.
Terrified.
No, don't be terrified. No. It's an honor for me to be your first guest.
It's an honor for me to have you as my first, as a matter of fact. But no, it was one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I listen to podcasts all the time. I'm like, dude, I would love to do one. And the thing for me where the idea really kind of came from was it took a lot to get to the pro races, right? And I know what the story was for me. I know what I felt like as far as watching the races on TV and just wishing I could be there.
Yeah.
Then sitting on a plane or taking an Uber to the airport, and they start the small talk, and they're like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And then to tell them, "Oh, I'm going to a motorcycle race," and then they ask, what are you doing there? And then they get the whole story. And when you go and you explain it to somebody who's hustling and grinding through the day, you realize, like, dude, I'm doing it or pursuing something that you thought of when you were a little kid. It'd be so cool. Whether it's if you're a racer and you go and you become a professional rider, or if you just get to be around it. Like, even if I wasn't doing this, I would still be watching the races on TV.
For sure.
Yeah.
Even same here.
Even if I had a bad day at work, guess what?
Yep.
I still got a DVR at home, still going to watch a race.
Yeah.
So that's the thing where getting to know everybody, it really turned into, like, we all have that in common, and I don't feel that that gets acknowledged as much. I think we all get caught up in the day-to-day grind or the hustle just to be there to make it, whether like some mechanics do the workload those guys have.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
Overworked, underpaid. It's crazy.
But the thing is that they wouldn't change it.
No.
Or at least they would get their time in doing it. And, maybe life evolves and they make a different decision later on down the line. So you see big name guys retire and everything, but they make an impact in the sport. And that, like, just being at the edge of that, because I'm not like at the forefront or anything like that. Just being at the edge and getting to see that and appreciate that.
Right, but you're still a part of it. You're a big part.
Oh, I mean, I like to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do my part, but just aside from the work part, it's just being in that circus, where you see the same faces every week, and it's we're all going through the same kind of stuff, and then that's on top of what's going on at the house. Like, we all have lives and stuff,
which I think goes ignored a lot.
Yeah,
I think even like we're guilty ourselves of letting our personal lives go ignored. Not ignored, but to the wayside.
The hustle that it takes to get there.
Yeah,
it takes a big sacrifice for sure.
Absolutely, massive.
I was talking to Big Wave about it.
Yeah,
where I mentioned, I was like, you want it so bad to be a part of it, and then when you are, like, you do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Like, you work your butt off to get there. Then you get there, and then you almost don't even realize, like, the trajectory just goes off this way or up, whatever. Life and, like, personal life and work life, they just kind of they go different directions sometimes. And what ends up happening, especially with the schedule, is you now went from being compatible with a big demographic of people to now, just purely because of the travel, you're only compatible with this kind of demographic. People have to be okay with the travel that you have, the amount of time away from home, the things you're around and stuff. And like, it's easy for a partner to get Like, your mind naturally goes in crazy places, right? But at the end of the day, for us, it's like, dude, we're still working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like at the end of the day, for me, like, I'm riding home with my colleagues thinking, like, I just need a shower. I need to use a restroom. Who's going to use it first? And where are we eating? Because I need to go to bed. Because I'm in a different time zone. I want to go to bed.
Yep.
You know, like, I need to catch up on sleep. I got in like at 1 a.m. yesterday, but my brain's still on California time. Like, all this.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, it's nuts.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's the stuff that, like, I don't think we talk about it enough.
No, I don't think we talk about it or appreciate how much work we've done to get to where we are today.
Yeah.
I don't think that's because, I mean, I think we're all, I mean, I can speak for myself anyway. Like, I was raised, and you were too. Like, we were raised kind of athletes. We were, really. So we have the athlete mind. We're always looking forward and never behind. So then you stop and look like, man, what you've done to get to where you are now. It's like, man, it's pretty gnarly.
It is.
It's pretty gnarly.
It is.
But I feel like if you slow down too much to look back, then you're not going forward. So it's like it's a touchy area. So I think for a second, I'm like, nope, I got this, and this to do. Let's move on.
Yeah,
it's real quick.
Yeah, and then for people that don't know what you do professionally, like just today, what you do today, how would you describe it?
My job title?
Yeah, like just what you do today. Like if somebody was watching this video, who the hell is Seth Rarick?
So I train the KTM and Husqvarna 250 riders. I say I'm a trainer, but I feel like I'm much more than that. I mean, I am a trainer, obviously, but a lot of the guys are obviously in the 250 class younger, so they need more of almost like a life coach, like a mentor role. I mean, obviously all the the riding programs we set up for them, and the gym schedules, cycling schedules, all that. It's pretty generic, like that's kind of, in my opinion, the least of it. They need the
like you got to at least do the work.
Yeah.
Here's the bar.
Everyone works hard these days, but as far as like nothing's top secret.
Yeah.
The program's like it's not rocket science. So like training is very important, obviously. But they need that accountability. They need someone on them every single day. And I feel like I said, they're all in the 250 class, so most of them are younger guys. So I think they need that example of how to be a professional, how you should go about it, like more of a life coach, how you should live your life and actually what it takes to be successful. And I really feel like I help more in the role of I've kind of had a long road, not really the easiest road. So I've been through some stuff, and I've seen highs, I've seen lows. So, and that's helped me. If I could go back to when I was racing and knew what I knew now, it'd be a much different story. But if ifs and buts were candies and nuts, Yeah. So I'm really happy with where I am. But with that being said, I feel like I help these guys more in the role of how to keep your mental game on an even keel, never too high, never too low.
Yeah.
And also just how to handle situations like adversity. I think everyone's good when things are going good, but how good are you when something's not going the way you want it to?
I think you see people prevail.
Yeah, and that's what I look for in kids these days coming up. I mean, I think that's what defines a champion compared to just another gate filler. So I help these guys. I'm their trainer, but I really pride myself on helping them as far as finding out what makes them tick, and using that to my advantage.
Yeah, or their advantage.
Their advantage. Sorry, yeah.
No. And that's what's like one thing I've noticed about the whole deal with in Supercross. It's I reflect back on where my mindset was at when I was 16, 17 years old. Like for me, I grew up wrestling, and to me, I wasn't a good wrestler. I got into it late, and so my first years doing it, it was a lot of taking your nuggets and just getting like the weight that I was like 103 pounds my freshman year, and then right around 112 pounds, and that's where I started off at. And everybody had been doing it for years and years, and I got into it. And the part of California that I'm from is a very savage land when it comes to wrestling, and I just got beat up on. Then to put the work in and to focus and dedicate yourself to it, to me, I ended up being a pretty good wrestler. Not a great wrestler, not near the goals and aspirations that I had, but the journey to get there and what it took for me to just become pretty good, it's crazy. And then if I look back at all of the variables that really, I'm trying to think how to describe it, the variables that gave me the fuel to be that way, to have the drive, to want to pursue it, all of that kind of stuff. To me, it almost feels like planets aligning. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even
I
then,
know exactly what you
falling
mean.
short is like where, like in my mind, if I look at my wrestling career, like I was a huge failure, right? But my senior year, you know, I think it was like 32 and like 8 or something like that. Like I lost. The only times I lost were like in tournaments to go and place to move on to go to state, and I just fell short of going to state, and that was my big thing where I was just like, well, because it was like that's how you get to your Hall of Fame for my school,
right.
And I missed it, and I just remember thinking like all of that time was for nothing.
Yeah,
but that failure. I went to college to try and pursue wrestling, and I wasn't going to do it there because the guys there were guys that were maybe close to my level when I was at my best in high school, but they were like grown ass men now,
right?
You know, and the body maturity from your high school year or your high school career into your college career is completely different.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
then the mindset. And so I turned to motorcycles. I was like, you know what? I'm 18 years old. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm gonna buy a street bike. And I bought a brand new GSX-R 750 and just went for it. And I put all that focus into that. Then started, you know, really got balls deep into watching racing and everything. Because I had always watched it a little bit here and there growing up, but it was just something in my household. It wasn't we didn't have the means of seeing it. You know, my parents always looked at it as that's kid stuff, like whatever. You know?
That's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And then so I get this bike and I get really into it, and to take to it naturally, you become local fast guy and everything. And then I pursue it. Like I just became a shop rat slinging tires, dude. Go figure. In 2008. I started my first job as a tire changer in a shop, right? That's what I was doing. I was putting tires on so that way I could get free tires. And the only thing I was really getting paid was the mounting money. You know, and then eventually I started and got a
super local.
Eventually I started where I got a actual hourly wage, right? I was getting paid $1 above minimum wage.
But you were still just like local fast guy.
Just local fast guy.
That's it.
And then dumb, mind you, dumb, like no brains, just pure heart. You know, it's still the same thing right now. Like I'm just dumb and pure heart, but it's like I got a little
naive.
Yeah.
Being naive works for you, though,
dude. And
I'm a firm believer.
Getting here, like today, where I'm 31 years old, that naive mindset
it works
made
for
me
you.
great.
Yeah, no, it does.
It made me so good.
I wish I was more.
Never do that again.
I wish I was more naive now.
Yeah,
being naive. I am such a believer in it works for. If you don't know no better,
just pin it. This is all you know.
Exactly.
There's so many guys.
The less you know, the better. In a lot of situations,
so many guys that haul ass because of that. Trust me, that's part of the sauce. But
it is.
But yeah, it was that, and then watching World Superbike and AMA Superbike, all the stuff, and Supercross, and then you fast forward 10 years to where we are now, or 12 years.
Yeah, time flies.
And then now we're at Supercross racing, you know, and I'm sitting across from my buddy who works at the Baker factory, basically. You know?
Which sounds crazy for me to think of, actually. Yeah. If I actually stop and think about it.
But how many years of like, when are you going to get a real job? When are you going to get a real job?
I'm still waiting to get a real job. I'm still going. About to be 28, and I'm still waiting for my first real job.
Yeah. I don't want one.
No, I don't want one.
Want one. I worked my butt off. I know you have to work your butt
actually,
off.
I take that back. I did have a real job, but it was out of necessity. It was a short time, but yeah. So
you had that so that way you could go back to your screw off job or your dream job, whatever.
Right. Well, I actually had that just to have money to get race on the weekends.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Exactly.
So where was that? Like when I met you. I think it was with Hill.
We had some good times.
Yeah, this would be. We were in Marietta. Where's the?
Yeah.
Marietta,
I remember.
Right? Is that breakfast place?
Old Market Grill.
Yeah.
In Marietta.
Yeah.
Old Market Grill.
Then I just remember we talked. You were super cool, nice, and everything. And then I remember when we left, I was with Justin and I go, and I was like, who is that guy? He's all, which one? I was like, that Adam Levine looking guy. He's all, oh, Seth? He's cool. I was like, he's a trainer? He's like, yeah, he trains people. I was like, that guy? And I'm over here thinking I'm hotshot bicycle rider and everything, right? And then I think in my mind, I was like, I could be a trainer. Lo and behold, right? Fast forward a little while. For whatever reason, I can't recall right at this moment like how exactly it fell into place, but we ended up spending a bunch of time together in North Carolina, right? And then we go. What was the first ride?
The Century.
The first ride was a roll off the couch Century.
Yeah. First ride Century.
Yeah, and this was like. I don't know how to describe this to people right now.
No, if they weren't there, I don't think they'd understand.
Yeah.
Really. I really
I
don't
just
think
remember, like, you text Phil, like, you're like, hey, you think Vicencio's going to be able to hang? And he's like, dude's got it. I don't care if he's rolling off the couch. He doesn't seem like a quitter. And I was all proud of that, right? But we go, and anybody that rides bicycles could probably appreciate. I hope they could appreciate this. Other than if they can't, then I'm a total chump. But I have a lot of hours riding bicycles from years ago, racing bicycles, but not any time relevant to that time frame when we went on this Century off the couch. And you go, and it's like 22 miles an hour right out the driveway. Like, we haven't even got to the mailbox. We're already
you're missing. Well, we left a little late. That's what I was antsy about. We left a little late.
How are you late for a bicycle ride if you're not really meeting anybody and it's like a guy's day off? Like, it was strain, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, we did have a time. I don't remember exactly.
No, we didn't.
We
didn't have anything to do that day. It was just
besides
do
100 miles.
That's all, right?
But,
which normally you do a Century and it's like, oh well. We'll just go out.
I think that's part of it. I think
miles.
maybe I didn't announce the time, but in my head, I didn't want to actually be out there all day. So I wanted to kind of get it done as fast as possible. So I was already antsy from the start.
This is at like 6, 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, antsy. We're late. Got up, coffee.
Well, it's in North Carolina, so it's 1,000 degrees out.
Seth is like you sleep standing up, first of all, and then it's like, I'm late. I gotta go. Just wide open from the time, like
right from the jump.
Yeah, right.
Wide open.
22 miles an hour, all the way, burning up whatever nutrition I had in the first freaking 20
Which
miles.
Which wasn't much.
Yeah,
wasn't much nutrition.
Yeah, it was like a few beers and a couple more beers or something.
Yeah, that's
all it was.
But I remember vividly, it was 30 miles the way we went because we had to hit back roads. 30 miles to Strang's house. And that really, you had been used up by
30 miles.
By 30, yeah. Which we
ride
still had
started.
We started at 30.
Started with me completely depleted, and then all of a sudden we
start climbing,
rolling hills, and going.
Exactly.
But it's not like we're just going to get up these hills. No, get your butt up the hill. And even Strang, he's Australian, right?
Yeah,
he's Aussie, right? Savage. And he was like, "Hey, your buddy's back there. It looks like he's kind of dying." He's like, no, he's fine. He's dialed. You just keep going. And I'm just pissed the whole time. I think I held it up to like 85 miles and then crashed into a wall.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. You stayed in it. Yeah, I think 80, 85, and then.
But you're going. Check this out. This is the other funny part. We get to 5 hours. And you start freaking out because you're like, it's a waste of time. I'm like, how's it a waste of time? We're riding. It's seat time. No, it's a waste.
I still go by this. I have never, and this is a fact, I have never been in the saddle for more than 6 hours. But I remember that day.
You're getting close.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I remember a line I said to you, and I die laughing thinking about it now.
I don't laugh at all.
I said, I ain't never been in the saddle more than 6 hours, and today's not going to be the day.
And literally all I see is your skinny ass out of the saddle, just take off and leave me.
I think it was like 5:50. I beat the 6 hour mark.
Yeah, and I had like front and rear. First of all, now that I recall, because I had front and rear cramps.
Yeah, bad.
Trying to come back. You took off, and then I was just like, well, I mean, it is what it is. And then I get back over to Strings, and it's like mile 94 or something.
Yep.
And I was pissed because I was like, I came out to do a century, not 94 miles. And so I go and I suffer my ass all the way back up the road.
Yeah.
And back down.
You were hitting the cul-de-sac and shit, just trying to get time or get miles in.
So pissed. And then it became the Hump Day Centuries.
Yeah, every Wednesday from then on out we did one. But I gained a lot of respect for you during that time.
I gained a lot of respect for you because I knew what I was capable of. And me rolling off the couch, I'm like, how is this guy just doesn't do anything the way I think he should do it? And he just crushed me. But then that's when it was just like, well, the dude's real deal. And I was like, one of the few people I respect a lot of people, but like truly, like on a personal level, respect the shit out of you because. And then the proof's in the pudding, but you look at what you're doing and stuff, and that's respectable stuff.
Right. Well, I appreciate that. I think most things I do, again, being a little naive, I go at everything head on, just wide open. Wide open. I pretty much tackle everything the same way, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For you, obviously, what age were you when you started racing?
So my dad raced. So I was always around it. I was exposed to. He used to tell me a story. I don't know if he was being serious or not. I think he was. I think he was this local. Mm-hmm. That I was at my first race at 2 weeks old, which I don't know if that's even safe for a baby or not, or an infant.
That explains a lot.
Right.
Sucking them two-stroke.
Right. I think I was in staging at 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I was exposed to racing very early on. And, I wanted to do it. But I started riding when I was 3 or 4. And then I don't exactly remember, but I crashed. I was just out riding in the backyard or something. I think I was 4, but crashed and like jacked my knee all up. At that age, I don't know how serious it was. I can't even remember, but I remember it like it shied me away from it for a while. I liked riding, but I didn't really have a desire to race. And, it's kind of funny. I wanted to, still to this day, actually, one of my biggest regrets is, even as a little kid at 5, 6 years old, I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to play guitar in the worst way. And like my dad was still racing, and I was going to all the races. I was like the biggest McGrath fan ever. I think every kid in the 90s was. That's what we all wanted to be like.
That's king, dude.
The king.
The
exactly.
90s was that was the best time.
Really, the only reason I wanted to race was to be like McGrath. I thought that guy was. I still think that guy's the man.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I was riding, and then hurt my knee or something. Like 4 years old, 5 years old in the backyard, and then I would still ride, but I'm like, racing. That's for the birds. I'm gonna play guitar. So. A funny story. I had my old man get me. I begged him for a guitar, and he was always into music, so he got me a guitar. And then I'm like, okay, now I need to take guitar lessons. I don't know how to play. I think I was maybe 6 by this time, and in my mind, I go take one guitar lesson, and I'm going to leave like Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
That's what I thought too.
I'm going to take one lesson, leave, and be next Jimi Hendrix. Yeah,
we're coming out with Eruption. I should know Eruption within 2 hours.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Which is kind of a crazy thought for a 6. I think I'm pretty sure I was 6, 7 years old, right? It's a crazy thought for a kid that young.
But that's why I like you so much, because I was having the same thoughts.
But for sure, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, so I've never been a patient person. I'm not patient at all with anything.
That's news to me.
if I
Dude's in a hurry to do a century, to finish a century.
Yeah, I'm not a patient person. Anything that takes time or patience is not for me. And people say, when I was younger, people told me, "Oh, you get older, you get more patience." No, I get less. I get less.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I sat through that one guitar lesson, and to learn guitar, you got to be pretty patient. You got to learn your chords, learn how to play. And I was just sitting there being so frustrated. I'm like, dude, I just want to rock and jam, and it just wasn't happening. I was just learning like a D chord, like din din din,
Yeah.
So it was like a 2-hour session ever, and I leave there. I'm so frustrated. I'm like, dude, I'm never gonna do this, and this is annoying. I'm never gonna be good at guitar, and I was already pretty good at riding. I'd been riding in the backyard for years, and I just set the guitar down and then just started riding and just kept riding and riding. I'm like, dude, this is just way more rewarding, way fast. It's like an instant thrill,
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what attracted me to it. And then, I think I was either 7 or 8. I think I might have been 7. I started racing.
Yeah.
My old man got me, I don't know how it even happened. I think because I'd been riding for a while, I think he asked me one day, do you want to try a race? I'm like, yeah, I'll try a race. And he got me a KX65, and I was terrified because I didn't know how to use a clutch. Yeah. I'd always had like a JR50, an XR50, XR70, little Glover bikes. And then I get a KX65. I was terrified, dude. Yeah. And but I went to race, my first race, and hooked. And the rest is history.
That's rad.
Yeah. It's just from then on out, it was full bore.
Yeah.
Full bore.
Now, was it like obviously with your dad racing, it was something, I mean, I imagine he was into it.
Oh, yeah, he was huge. Yeah. Huge into it. He was a big fan, though. He was almost too big of a fan. That's one thing that later on in life I kind of feel like hurt me a little bit, is because he was way too big of a fan to think I could do something, if that makes sense. Like, he looked, and I was guilty of that too, but he looked up to, obviously, like the top pros and stuff, no big deal, but even as I got older, like my competition, he would like, for instance, like Ian Treadle. Ian was really, really good, badass amateur, and but my dad would always be like, oh, he does this so good. He'd always like compliment what other kids are doing, and I didn't realize this till later on in life, but it probably affected my confidence pretty bad. Because I'm like, dude, like, am I doing anything right?
Yeah.
So, like, it kind of, I struggled to believe in myself enough to probably do what I was capable of,
Yeah. Do you think to this day you're like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
I feel you on that.
Yeah.
That's like with everything. I'm always, like, for people like that already know me and dealt with me, like, I'm pretty, I don't know, arrogant, cocky, something. I carry that, like the way I carry myself, but it's also like I do that to keep the demons down. It's like if I bully myself every day.
Me too.
Every day. Yep. And it's like I just like eventually get sick of it, and then I go be productive. That's honestly all it is. And then I just try and live in that as much as I can. And it makes me nicer to people.
Right. I can relate to that for sure.
Because, like, if I'm being a jerk to somebody, or if I'm rude or something, that's just me being a punk. Because I'm not probably not taking care of myself in the sense of things that I need to do to. I mean, it's like when you got a high energy dog. Yeah. And you don't run them, and then they start tearing everything up. Exactly like that.
Same thing.
I just do that to myself mentally, and then all of a sudden I'm acting like I'm hangry.
Right.
It's like, dude, chill out, have Snickers. Like, being weird. But no, that weird mental deal. It's funny how it's like, especially when if you're looking back at it, you could kind of pick up on little things here and there in your childhood that pushed you, towards that. It pushed you in that direction, or kind of something that stuck. And I always think of it as like it's like fuel, right? But at the time, you don't have the engine for it.
Yeah.
So eventually, for me at least, it was like I was always having fuel poured all over me, right? And more until I was just drowning in it. And I didn't know how to swim. I didn't have no engine to burn up the fuel, right? And then I had a mouth on me too, and I remember I get myself like picked on a little bit, And looking back, it's easy to say like, oh, well, it's because you talk smack and you did this or whatever. I still had to deal with it. And I'm sure I was just bad to other little kids or whatever. But eventually one day, like, hit puberty, wrestling coach comes in to PE, and basically all it was is just like, it went from drowning in fuel to someone teaching me how to swim, and then handing me a stick of dynamite. That's what it was, And then since then on, it was just like the confidence in myself just went through the roof. But then parallel with that came the just as powerful insecurity.
Yeah.
Because I was always that little kid in my mind. Scared little kid. And so today, you know, it's like, it's weird. Like you always, or for me, I always thought like, when are you going to grow out of that?
Right.
You never do, man. You just understand a little bit more of it. And then the more you understand, the more you could almost find yourself overthinking stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know, you
Big
just
time.
get way too deep into it, and then you go back to that naive thing you're talking about, where it's just like, dude, that's a sweet spot. And the only reason I know it's a sweet spot is because I ain't in the sweet spot no more.
Exactly.
That was as good as it got.
Right.
Shit, it's gone.
Right.
You know, that's the crazy part. But I'm just like, I'm just grateful for you know, every day I get to be a part of all this stuff. You know, I get to hang out with cool people. But anyway, so you get into racing. So when you were going, was it pretty balls to the wall, like always at the races with like how we see with typical moto families, where it's just like every Loretta qualifier, every this and that, or was it local stuff?
No, not to start. Yeah. So. I mean, my old man was just a local guy. He was like you on the street bike, local fast guy.
Yeah. Those are the best.
Yeah. He was like local mid pack guy actually. But no, so I started when I first started racing him. I was terrible, so bad. I was like a backyard hero, but I was so bad. And no, I didn't. He never thought I was going to make it out of New York. Mm-hmm. I never thought I was going to make it out of New York. It was just strictly for fun, and then. Raced that first year, 65, but I was always tall for my age, always. So I was only like 7 or 8, but that next year I had already gotten tall, and so I had to start riding a CR80, and yeah, super local. But so even that next year was strictly for fun. Like, it was no big deal. I was not doing well. I didn't expect to do well. You know, I was still going to school being a normal kid. Yeah. And then the following year, I got a little bit taller, so I grew into the 80. I think this time they came out like 85 or whatever when they changed the name. But then I think it might have been 2002 or 3. I can't remember. But I took a big step. I was like a mid-pack local 80 guy to like top 3 every weekend.
No shit.
And that's when. So my dad always told me, like, you know, this is just for fun. If you don't, you know, the day comes you don't want to race anymore. If we're not having fun, we don't have to do it. That's what he always told me, but that couldn't have been further from the truth.
Yeah, I was going to say.
As soon as I started getting some form of results, and I mean, this is at such a local level, like really like District 34, local New York stuff. So it didn't matter really, but in his mind, that, you know, that's a big deal. Yeah. And as soon as I started getting any sort of results locally, then he started being, you know, obviously he started spending more money. Another thing too, I didn't realize at the time, like. As a kid, you're like, oh, this is actually getting serious. But now that I'm older and look back, I think part of that was because he was probably spending his last dollar on me, and I didn't realize it at the time. As a kid, you don't realize the value of a dollar, or, you know, I always thought that we were okay. I didn't think I struggled much growing up, and then now I'm like, wow, we struggled bad. Like
he struggled.
He struggled badly. Yeah. So I think that's where a lot of the pressure came from, is like the fact that, hey, I'm literally spending every dime, so like you have to do good. Yeah. You know, this isn't a joke, but I didn't grasp that as a kid. I just thought like, man, my dad's being a dick, you know? Yeah. I didn't get it, but it got serious pretty quick. Yeah. And then
who was in the household? Was it you, siblings, or
no? Just me and him.
Just you and him?
Yeah. So I have.
You have siblings, or
yeah. So nobody knows this. It's kind of crazy. Like when I do say this, people look at me like I got 3 heads. But so growing up, everyone that. You know, I know through racing, they obviously know me, or they knew my dad. Like that was it. Like that was just looked at as like it was just me and my dad. But the reality of it is, I actually have 3 half sisters and 1 half brother. They're all older than me. I'm the youngest by a long shot. I'm the youngin'. But yeah, when I tell people that, they're like, what? Because I didn't grow up with my siblings. Yeah. I grew up, just me and my old man, really.
From the day you can remember, or
no? So my parents weren't together. Okay. So all my siblings are on my mom's side.
Gotcha.
But I'm my dad's only son. And like I said, they're all a good bit older. But so my earliest memories, I would go back and forth, mom, dad, normal. But my mom actually passed away when I was 8. So that's I don't obviously know or remember the ins and outs of it all, but yeah, I had no choice. I just lived with my dad, and then a little sad in a way because like he kind of cut off contact from my sibling. Not cut off contact, like they were there if I wanted to, but
they're on your mom's side, and your dad was his side, still struggling, trying to handle business for himself.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's a little bit, or I should say, I actually a little bit like him as far as just being like bullheaded and task at hand, and go just trying to make ends meet, and not really thinking like, hey, like I got to try and keep a family together for my son. Like he wasn't thinking like that. He was thinking like, hey, we need to go race,
we need to survive and race.
Yeah, exactly. We need to eat and race. You know, he would let a lot of the things slide to the wayside simply just to keep his business going and to take care of me. But I don't, you know, regret any of that or look down on him for any of that. I mean, that's what he had to do. And if I was in that situation, who knows? I'd probably be the same way, you know?
Almost like you would hope.
right.
Fuck, man, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, exactly. So, so pretty much, but also, too, that was about the time I started racing, though. So my mom passed when I was 8.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if I started racing before or after that, but it was around the same time. Yeah. So, so that's, you know, when I started going to races, people just met me or my dad. That was it. There was never anyone else around.
Yeah.
And then during the week, it would just, you know, it'd be just us. And, you know, my grandparents on his side I was close to. Mm-hmm. But that was it, really. Family wasn't, probably sounds bad, but yeah, it wasn't almost don't have a family as far as, you know, that sounds terrible saying that, but I wasn't raised in a normal family environment at all. Far from it. Yeah. Far from it.
Well, one thing I could say about you guys up that way, though, is dude, you talk to anybody from that area, you guys are definitely family. May not be biological, but damn, dude. Like, that's a bunch of good, we're Seth's from a bunch of good people up that way.
Yeah, that's actually the blessing of it all. I've met a lot of good people.
Yeah.
And just family, I guess, friends through my father, I guess, really is what it stems from. But
almost like, or the community is
But then, you know,
super local.
Super
local.
Exactly. But and then friends I've met and stuff over the years, but have kind of, you know, taken me in at times throughout the years because I was a little bit, through my childhood, it was almost like a foster home sort of thing, you know? Like I had to live with different families or different people along the way, but to this day I'm close with all of them, and I would not be here if it wasn't for a lot of those people. Yeah. For sure. It's kind of crazy to think about.
It is.
It's nuts.
It's crazy. It's like when you go to, like fast forward, but you go to like see Kenny and Doodles and you go to his office, it's a freaking the stuff you see on the wall. It's like, why is there a Bubba Stewart jersey on
James Stewart signed jersey?
How is this here? Like, all of this stuff.
And then if you go to Glenmont, New York, you see a Cooper Webb championship.
That's what's so beautiful. And then you just go, you see the twins and everything, like, hey, what's up, bud? Want a beer? You know, it's like, I love these guys. This is awesome.
No, I was raised
good
around some
people up there. Great people.
I took that I don't want to say for granted. I just didn't know any better. And now that I'm older and seen the world, basically, it's like, dude, I was raised around some good people.
Great people. Yeah. That's like, that's the stars aligning. You know what I mean? That's incredible.
It is.
Like, I always crack up with, and these are people with heart. Like, this is like Tim J. I'll never forget him he talked about the story where he ended up winning a LCQ at one of the
Budds Creek LCQ. I'll never forget this.
And he goes and he was like, "Bud, you won." And you're like, that was a LCQ race. He's all, doesn't matter, you won the race.
Dude, that was so good.
Like,
the best part
that was the best part of his life.
It was.
Yeah, best day of his life.
The best part is that morning in practice, something happened on my bike in the first practice was faster, or maybe second. Either way, one of the practices was way faster. Well, in the faster practice, something happened on my bike. I think maybe my chain fell off, chain broke or something. So I didn't even get a lap in. And then, the slower practice, I didn't stand a chance. I literally had to go to the LCQ.
Yeah.
So I remember my old man was there, and he was about to kill me. Like, so I was going to the line thinking, like, dude, I'm in the LCQ. Like, if I don't make it, I'm gonna. There is no not making it. That's not an option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna beat my ass.
Yeah.
And but the best part, like I win the LCQ, and I'm just like, whatever, go back. Like I'm embarrassed to be in the race. I got to go back and just get ready for Moto 1. And Tim comes back crying tears of joy, thinking I won the national.
Legend.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that's the LCQ. He goes, doesn't matter.
You won the race.
Yeah, my old man standing there still pissed off.
Dude, he pumps me up. It was funny because we were supposed to sit down and do this last week, and I just remember thinking, like, it didn't work out, but I remember a couple weeks back that I got to see Tim, and I just remember thinking, like, you know what? That's one person that I will respectfully, before Seth, I'll talk to him. Out of sheer respect. And it's going to happen at some point.
For sure.
It will happen, absolutely.
And the best part is I've brought him everywhere, and there's never been one person that's not liked him.
Oh, no, I love that guy.
Oh, I brought him everywhere, dude. Yeah. Everyone loves him. Like, oh, that Tim Jordan guy, you need to bring him back,
dude. He's the greatest.
He's the best.
So what was... What was your pop's business? What was he doing?
So he did masonry work. So brick, block, concrete, stone. The hardest manual labor you can imagine, pretty much. Anything that was hard on your back or body, he would do, basically. And anything that was bad for the spine, he would attempt. But just blue collar as hell, man.
Yeah.
Really gnarly dude. Again, as a kid, I thought that was normal. I didn't think. I thought all men his age were that way. I didn't think anyone was ever any different. Then I get older and realize the world's full of a lot of. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but a lot of pussies. But he was gnarly. But yeah, he just a small business. Just him. He had one employee. And then every now and again he'd bring if he had a big block job or something, or brick job, he'd bring a laborer to mix cement. And then basically after I was aged anywhere past 12, I was the laborer, basically. There was
a story you told me about. You crashed when you weren't supposed to, then you had to work. I can't recall. I don't know if it was
my
in the
shoulder.
Basement.
I dislocated my shoulder. Yeah. Right, yeah. That was I was already doing nationals and stuff by that time, but I decided to do it on my own because I had some support the year before, but kind of like any a privateer team. But so anyway, I decided to do it on my own. I got some support. KTM helped me out with some bikes and parts and whatnot. And so I worked my butt off that whole. I didn't do Supercross. I broke my wrist, so I missed that. And then I was going to do all the East Coast Nationals on my own. But anyway, I was like probably the most prepared I've ever been, And
how old were you at this time?
Like 20, probably.
Okay. 21. So it was real deal.
Yeah. I was doing outdoors that summer, but yeah, for sure the most prepared I ever was.
Yeah.
And I'd been doing a bunch of money races that whole spring back home, just trying to stack up money to go racing outdoors. And then I was working for my old man during the week too, and training and working my own bikes just around the clock, the whole privateer deal. But anyway, all was going well. I think the first East Coast National that year was Muddy Creek, I believe. Mm-hmm. But it was 2 weeks before Muddy Creek, and then the weekend before I was doing a local race. We had a big money race back home, and this was like the Wednesday before that. So I had just Kenny, who you met, me and Kenny had spent like 3 days building his track. Just finished. I never had like a track really close to my house to practice on, so I was super proud of it. I'm like, oh, this place is sick. And we wanted to ride it really bad, and it was a sand track, the land that his dad had bought. Well, we had to pour. I was working for my dad, and the next morning, 6 a.m., the concrete truck was coming in. We had to pour a basement floor, concrete floor,
Yeah.
And it was bad access, so the concrete truck couldn't pull all the way in, so we needed a pump truck. So you had to pump through the basement window, and then I had to be down there in the cellar, the basement, carrying the hose full of concrete around. Just like, gnarly.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, gnarly job. Well, that was on that was on a Thursday because I'm riding on a Wednesday. Well, I worked all day Wednesday too, but we had finished this track. Me and Kenny worked for 3 days the previous weekend. So like we had planned, okay, Wednesday after work, we're going to ride, So it's like 4 p.m. Wednesday, go from work. I tell my dad, hey, Dad, I'm going riding. He goes, oh, no, don't worry about it, man. He's like, we got to pour concrete in the morning. You've been racing every weekend. You've been riding enough. Yeah. He goes, we'll have an early day tomorrow. You can pour concrete. We'll get this pour done, and then you can go, go ride.
Yeah, the one time he tells you let off and do the smart thing.
Exactly. But I'm so amped that, I just, worked my nuts off building this track all weekend. I'm going to go ride it. And plus, I always felt like I was behind the 8 ball. I always felt like I wasn't that talented, so I needed to ride more than anyone else, or train more. So I'm like, I need to ride, like I need seat time. So I'm like, no, I'm going riding. And he's warned me. He's like, no, don't. And I'm like, okay, no, I'll be fine. Go down this track, and it's a sand track, but we built massive jumps. So sand track and big jumps don't really mix. Anyway, I rode for like an hour, hit this big jump, and then the landing had been like so I don't know, bellowed out, if that makes sense. Because it's like we're all landing in the same spot in sand,
Well, it's like a little, like a pocket.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it got to like a hard spot, so all was good. Well, then it built up a berm on each side. Well, the one that became in like this line I was taking the face kind of kicked out, and I scrubbed a little bit too far to the left. I landed like 6 inches to the left of where I'd been landing. I'm in the air looking like, okay, no big deal. Land on the gas, and dude, it just stopped me. And I just started cartwheeling, and then I already had a bad shoulder, dislocated my shoulder, and as I'm flipping, I'm not even done crashing yet. I'm thinking, oh, dude, I'm thinking like I gotta get this in. I'm literally not done crashing yet. I'm like, I have to get my shoulder, and I gotta pour concrete in the morning. So I get up freaking out, dude. My shoulder's out, and I just am like, I have no choice. I can't go to the doctors. I cannot go home. I'll go anywhere before I go home. Yeah. And so I rip my elbow up, pop it back in, and I'm like, okay, I got my shoulder, and it's not that bad. I go home, and I'm like, I cannot tell my old man. The next morning I'm carrying the concrete hose down in this basement around, dude, just about in tears, working all day. And I never told him. And I went raced that weekend, the local race back home. I got through that, and then I went and raced Muddy Creek National. Dude could barely hold on the bars, and then it wasn't until the drive home from Muddy Creek. My shoulder was so bad I couldn't drive with one arm, or it was my left arm. I couldn't drive with my left arm on the steering wheel. My left arm was like just sagging the whole time. And then he asked me what's up with your arm, and I finally told him. I remember a couple weeks ago when I went riding, I definitely dislocated my shoulder that night. And he was still pissed, but he was, in a way, he's like, okay, well, you manned up about it. He didn't make excuses. So, but that shoulder ended up affecting me. It was just a dumb move all around. It wasn't right for probably like a year and a half after that. Yeah. Still not right, but we got through it.
And ladies and gentlemen, when you ask why I respect this dude, that's a small smidge of some of the stuff that
a lot of things, though, when you don't have a choice. It's crazy what you do.
That's
when you
the whole deal, yeah.
When you do not have a choice, because dude, I wouldn't do that now. You know what
exactly,
I mean?
Exactly.
There's no way. Or if I was allowed a choice back then, there's no way.
I have a beautiful story for that. Unfortunately, this isn't my story where, I wasn't the guy, but I'm kind of glad I wasn't. So, our senior year, on my team, one of my best friends, he's still a brother to me this day. His name's Mondo, and he was our 215 wrestler, 215-pound wrestler.
Yeah.
And then he would sub in and go heavyweight wherever needed to be, but he was right there on the team. Team captain, gnarly dude, and he played football too, and blew out his ACL, MCL in football. During that time was like a career-ending
right.
injury.
That was viewed as it's over.
Yeah, you're done
for sure.
You're totally done. You got to recover. You got to do all this stuff.
Yeah, you're not dialed.
So football was his secondary sport. Wrestling was his first sport. And if you know anything about high school sports, at least, it's football is a fall sport, and then wrestling is a winter sport. So It comes afterwards. Well, he blew it out in football. And they said, you need to get surgery. And he said, well, I have a season of wrestling that I have to be in. I'm not going to miss out on it.
Right.
Mind you, and this isn't a sport where you don't get paid Like, this isn't like, oh, I'm going to go be Jeremy McGrath or I'm going to go be Carmichael. You don't get that. Like, maybe if you're the cream of the crop, the best in the world, you go to the Olympics and you get your name known. That's about it.
Team Foxcatcher is no more.
Exactly.
There's no more. Yeah. Bad ending.
Yes. Ended terribly. Yeah. So this is purely just for self-motivation and pride and your goals that you have as what you think you are at that moment as a man. And he says, no, I can't get surgery. I have to wrestle.
I like this guy.
This dude has a blown out ACL and MCL. And he goes and he does his little physical therapy of exercising, bicycling, all that stuff. And he works out the endurance, the muscles. He's a very muscular guy, obviously. And so his leg muscles, they're pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
Well, he just builds the conditioning in him to where he has good endurance.
Yeah.
So as long as he had the endurance and the strength, he was fine.
Yeah.
Come third period, when he got tired, shit would pop out.
Yeah.
Knee would pop out. Right? He does the season, and he's got his little knee brace on, and it looked like an asterisk or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes and he had a winning record that year. Almost made it to state. Same, like, very parallel trajectory as me as far as our success. And I just remember in his last. So you have duels, which is where it's team versus team. Mm-hmm. So think of like how a football game is. You're like, oh, we're competing against this team this year or this school.
Right.
That's called a duel. Well, the last duel of the season, because it goes your main season duels, and then after that it goes to league, which becomes individual tournaments. And they score team points, but it's in the individual who keeps going.
Right.
So the last duel of the season was against our rival school, and we hated each other. This was like we did everything we could to not get in a fist fight with these guys, just so we could compete and support our team. Like, that's literally how it was. But we hated each other.
Yeah.
This was like, you kill that guy, like, break him. No, seriously, And mind you, like, you're 17, 18 years old. This is the most testosterone you have.
Sure.
Like, your body chemistry is just like the most savage you will ever be. Just pure dumb, like, ignorance that you're talking about with all of the Mexican
the sweet spot of being naive.
Yeah,
you're way past the sweet spot.
It's gnarly.
Yeah.
And he goes out there and he's competing, and it's pretty good. It's pretty close. And then coming into the third period, his knee pops out, right? And he screams. And everybody in the city knows what's going
happening,
on. Yeah, and mind you, this is like one of the most popular dudes. Like, everybody loves this guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's a wonderful person. So Mondo screams, and everybody gets quiet. And then the team just keeps drilling him, right? And because he's in there. He's in it.
Yeah.
You're in it. We're not stopping.
Yeah.
You're going. You chose this. This is what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So he goes and he saddles up and he keeps going, right? And he fights a war, and he ends up, I don't believe he got pinned or anything. He lost, I believe, by a close decision. And that's a big deal, where the way that I could be wrong, but if you get a decision, basically how many points the opponent wins by, it translates into team points. So it's like if you have motos and then you score an overall.
Right.
It's like that.
It's like that, yeah.
So he ends up getting it to where it's a tighter points gap. But I remember he came off and he was crying, right? And we, like, still there in the heat of battle for us, because I still got to go in and do my part.
For sure.
Right? So my mindset's not very friendly, and it's just like, hey, you got the job done, or you did what you could, but you're still a punk for crying.
Right.
And basically,
right.
we all still razzed him for that,
because
there was zero room for that.
Yeah.
And that's just the environment that we created for ourselves, because that's the kind of competitors we wanted to be. We had to be.
Yeah, you didn't have a choice.
Zero choice. What are you going to do?
You do not have a choice.
If you show any weakness, like, you don't think that there was people that wanted to be in his position?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's got to be the weak willed beast.
Yeah.
You know, in the herd.
Yeah.
He's the weak one, and the lions are coming, and he's still got to fight them off every day, right? Because our policy in the room was always, if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I want that guy's spot," okay, go through practice, and at the end of practice, that little twerp that wants your spot gets to challenge you.
Right.
And it's a fully scored wrestling match, and if you lose, guess what? You're not on varsity anymore.
Yep.
You're not the guy.
Yeah.
Straight up. And that's just the ultimate form of accountability.
Yeah.
So he had to deal with that week in, week out with a blown out leg.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody's picking out, all the hyenas coming in, picking
yeah.
at him and everything. And he still had to be big dog. And he was big dog.
Right.
And that's why he was the captain.
Yeah.
You know, and then he goes out there and he does that. And then for us to still think he's a punk for crying.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that just shows like what it was. We look back at it and he laughs about it now and everything. I'll probably talk to him like this at some point in time. But it's just the way that it was, you know. And looking back, it's crazy. I would not do that. I wouldn't want my kid doing that. I don't know that I would let my kid do that. That's the part where like you age a little bit. You learn. The more you learn, you're just like, you kind of roll off.
Yeah.
You know. And
I'm looking to do that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I've flirted with rolling off, but I don't exactly
think you
know.
Your wrist is fused.
Yeah,
your throttle hand is fused.
No, it
wide
is.
open.
My fascia's I've got too much arm pump over the years, so it just kind of sticks a little bit. Yeah. Throttle gets sticky often.
All the time. Man. Super glue, Gorilla Glue on it.
It does.
But yeah, that was the thing. But that's just like that's what I grew up around in my formative years, you know, into becoming a man was that, you know. And then so to take that and then to want to not know what to do with that, because that's the other thing. Like the only option out of high school was like, at this time, this is in 2007.
Yeah.
So UFC was getting
it was getting
big enough.
Yeah.
There's some local fights coming around, and it's like, and then you see a guy that you beat, and he goes and he kills it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you see another guy that you know is a really good competitor, and he's winning it.
Right.
You know,
and now you're looking
like,
at these options.
Yeah. Then you're like, let's go fight.
Right.
You know, and it just, by the grace of some higher power, my dumbass gets a motorcycle
and becomes local fast guy.
Local fast guy, you know. And it's just like,
I'm a big believer though in, if like what you're saying right now, like if you went to become a fighter, like this wouldn't have happened and this wouldn't have happened and this wouldn't, and then who knows where you'd be. Yeah. But it's crazy how like, okay, you didn't choose that, and you got this street bike, and like, okay, you might think, oh, this, or looking back now, you might be like, oh, that was a dumb decision, but no, it wasn't, because then you meet this guy and you start working here, and then blah blah blah, blah, and then it's the yellow brick road all the way to where you are now.
Never looked yellow ever though. Never looked yellow. No. That's the thing. But exactly what you're saying, and that is the whole purpose of why we're sitting here today.
It's like, crazy.
Because you and I, how many people are in our industry?
Yeah, I don't know.
Tons. Yeah, crazy number, right?
Yeah.
We're two people.
Yeah.
And we both have a very similar, completely different, but similar story where it comes like the same. I mean, yours isn't pretty gnarly. But I'm just saying like that drive where you're still messing with yourself mentally every day. Every single day. Majority of the day.
I play 23 hours a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and,
I play mind tricks on myself every single day. Yeah, for sure. But when you stop and think, like, man, like, oh, if this didn't happen and this didn't happen, and then I wouldn't have met that person, and it's just a series of events that, I'm not so cliche to say, but like that everything happens for a reason. It's true. Yeah, for sure, it is true. It's just I don't like saying that because you sound like everyone else in the world. It's just use it some cliche saying, but it is true. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
and I think that helps me with kind of accepting everybody else too, where everybody else has there's a place for them, and there's everybody's got some sort of purpose. Yeah, and I don't mean it in a condescending way, like some people need to be here, some people need to be no, but it just everybody, dude, you got it. how many people want to go ride bicycles with you? Like,
Right.
if they know what they're getting into, not a lot of people want to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, but that's okay, because no, you don't have to be like that. And that's
Right.
what I'm saying. If somebody wants to go out and enjoy a bicycle ride,
Right.
there's a place for that, and
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
yeah.
You know,
Right.
and so I'm not going
It's
to
just not
ridicule
with
somebody.
me.
Yeah, it's just not, exactly nowhere near you at all. But
Yeah.
but that's what I'm getting at, and it's like kind of growing into that where you don't always have to be right. You don't always have to. I mean, just that. You don't always have to be right. Sometimes things are just as they are.
Yeah, and that's
it.
learning that. I'm learning that. I used to always, I don't know how to explain it. I used to always think that, like, about someone says, why are you doing this or this and that. I would overthink the answer I'm giving them.
Yeah.
But lately, I'm just like, that's just how I am, dude. I'm rolling with it. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, and to me, I found that I made the most ground when I didn't think.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you always do.
Just do.
Yeah.
Just do.
Don't. Yeah.
And
I spend so much. I think not just me. I think everyone. You can spend so much time thinking about something that you get nothing accomplished.
Yep.
And you're just kind of going in circles.
It's tough.
That's why a big part of why I am the way I am. I just tackle stuff head on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works against me. Sometimes I feel like I'm working harder, not smarter.
Yeah.
But do I regret anything? No.
No.
Not a bit.
And that's another thing too, where, like, as I used to tell you on the bike, I'm like, dude, you are so ridiculously aggro that this is the least efficient way of how to get strong. You're just killing yourself. And then, but if you keep doing this, eventually you will get extremely strong because your body doesn't have it. It's either that or die. And then, so give it a year, and thankfully the big thing is where it's equitable is you weren't competing. Because you weren't competing, it didn't matter. So it was perfect for you to do it that way.
Yeah.
Because then what happens is everything else in life is easier now because of what you put yourself through.
For sure.
And then, like, to put in perspective, your annual average, that means including low days or low weeks. Your average weekly output was like 150 miles on a bicycle. That's just one thing, one discipline.
Yeah.
Not including running.
Yeah.
Not including all your yoga and your gym work and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So that to do that for an entire year.
Yeah, 2019 was huge.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Huge,
and that's like, bro, you're tan now. Like, you look gorgeous. But that's what I'm getting at is, like, that's an average though. Like, people, if you maintain that, that's incredible. That's great. I wish I dedicated the time to do that. Like I had in the past for pockets of time, but not for a year. But just doing that mentally, what it did for you.
Yeah.
That's the part people overlook. Everybody gets caught up in the most efficient way of training and this or that. And not that this is going to go down that road. I don't want to go down that road. But one valuable thing that I want to point out that people always overlook is people always forget to train their mind.
Oh, yeah.
And that, if anything, to be honest, is the biggest thing
the biggest.
If I see somebody falling short, it's a mental thing. It is not a physical thing. It's
everyone these days, everyone works hard, everyone's in shape. It's up here. It really is.
And it's either you don't have the mental fortitude to do the work, which is really bad, or you don't have the mental fortitude to just overcome adversity. It's like, it's in a fight, we always describe it as like you bloody up his nose, he tastes his own blood and quits. He breaks easy. It's so you could see it. In that discipline, a lot of times, just in my experience, I'm not saying it's true for everybody, but a lot of times you could smell that on somebody.
Right.
Like, if a guy's I don't want to say if a guy's going to come up and be a killer, you don't always see that coming. But you do smell a phony. You do smell a front. That reeks, and that's easy to pick up on. And you pick up on that more times than none. And then it's just, then mentally you already have them beat before competition begins. And that's just something that's like, it happens too much.
Yeah,
it happens way too much. You know, it's crazy. And you know what? And to be honest, let's bring it back a little bit. I'm glad I don't have to take part in any of that, and I could just sit on the sidelines and be the happy little kid that I'm there.
Yeah, you've learned how to roll off a little bit.
Big time, you know, because it's like you saw when I showed you the video. Like my day now, I get up in the morning, have some coffee, walk to work. I should walk to work, but I don't. I might get in my truck because it might be 5 degrees cooler than I feel like walking in, right? So I go and I drive my little truck around the corner, go into work for a couple hours on cool stuff that I really enjoy being a part of, right? Still motorcycle stuff. Then my buddy comes in, hey, you want to go for a bike ride? We're doing it. Let's go. Drive a few miles up the road into that part of California where I showed you the video.
Right.
You know?
Nice part of Cali.
That. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful riding. Best riding in California.
And you're dialed.
Go
just for a lunch. Yeah.
Yeah, lunch loop.
Lunch loop. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Remember the JGR lunch rides?
Yes. Exactly. But that's another environment where a lot of people, not limited to the motorcycle shop, but the NASCAR side, everything like that company, that was one thing that I noticed about them that they all took serious was you got to take a little bit of time for yourself, your well-being. They got a beautiful gym there, and everybody's happy if they have their Bible study or whatever. You know, they always took time to work on themselves as people outside of
for sure.
work.
You need that. You need that.
It's huge.
Which, that's another thing I always struggled with. I still do pretty badly. Balance. I really struggle. I mean, I'm actually better than I used to be. Mm-hmm. When I was probably all the way up until a couple years ago, I was like, terrible. I couldn't even spell balance. Mm-hmm. But, balancing work life, personal life, just getting, you need to disconnect and get away from everything. Or if I'm into something, I'm just going at it full. I struggle to balance that. Does that make sense? Like if I'm interested in something, I go wide open.
You go wide open into that, and then eventually like get so out of balance over here, then you go wide open this way.
Exactly. And I've gotten way better with that, but. Yeah, that's a struggle for me. But you need that. You need to take time for yourself and kind of balance life.
But here's the other thing too. Here's an example of where we could overthink it. But do you think that you struggling with that is still productive because you end up going wide open this way, wide open that way? Wide open this way. It's just wide open. It's all.
Oh yeah,
you know what
I
mean.
But no matter what, the throttle's locked.
Yeah. But it's just as locked going this direction as it is the other direction when appropriate for you. Like the threshold of when you decide to change direction is different than the threshold for me.
For sure.
But it's still relative. Like the approach that you take going this way, you take it going that way. And the same for me. You know, I try. It took a long time, but I try to appreciate everything now.
Yeah.
You know, because that was something that I missed out on. I feel like I missed out on a lot of things, a lot of personal things because of how selfish I've been to pursue purpose.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You know, and
if I have a goal, it's blinders on to everything else, and I'm going at something wide open, head on, no matter what, and nothing's getting in my way. Maybe that's a good way to accomplish something, but I don't know if that's a good way to actually go about life all the time. I there's getting back to the balancing. I struggle differentiating that. Struggle big time. Yeah, I don't know how to separate it, and I'm aware of it, but how do I fix it? I don't know.
But is it broken? Is it like, think of how old you are. You know, like, do you get what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff that comes.
Not yet. No.
You know what I mean? And that's the same thing. Like, you could ask, somebody who's been in this for 30 years a question today, and then you can ask them to reflect on the same question if they were 20 years old.
Yeah.
Is the answer the same? You know, it's completely different. 9 out of 10 times is different. There's some guys that live it and breathe it and love it. You know, one thing I admire about Mitch is he's still one of the last guys to leave the track.
Yeah.
You know, at any event.
Yeah.
Mitch is always there.
Yeah.
You know, like he's a guy that you look at him and like, I might be wrong, but all the symptoms that he shows, he still loves it, man.
Oh, yeah.
He loves it.
For sure.
Hands on. You know, stuff that he's doing, you know, at his shop and everything, like, that's someone that loves it. And then, but then also, if you look at his legacy, it shows.
Yeah.
Because it takes.
Pudding.
Yeah, exactly. It takes the love and like the dudes at KTM, like they love being competitors.
Yeah.
You know, they love winning.
Yeah.
You know, and you listen to any of their ideologies, and I've only been exposed to very little of it, you know, and this is all just at a glance, but it's something that you see where that whole company, you know, is all driven towards winning and being the best.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying that that's lacking at other places, but I'm just saying to notice it and to see it, and you see it in the personnel and all that. You know, it's something to admire, and that's I love that. I think it's still good. I love that you can. I love to be able to witness things like that.
Yeah.
You know, because that's stuff that I just appreciate it.
Yeah.
I really, really do, and that's. You know, I've been in positions where I was a package handler for FedEx.
No way.
Yeah, dude. Like I remember, like I when I moved up to NorCal, I was moving, going through some old files and stuff, and like I found an old paycheck when I was a server. Like, okay, you think of local fast guy, the whole Let's put it in perspective. This is what I did. This is what a grown ass man did. 18 years old. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. So I'm my own guy, right? I'm going to go get this street bike, right? Never ridden a motorcycle before, ever. Take that back. I rode a XR50, one of the little fat tire ones.
Yeah.
I rode one of those when I was like 7.
Nice.
Because my around the corner neighbor, his name was Daniel. And he was just the cool guy in the neighborhood that
he's a local cool guy.
No, but he restored all these old 2-strokes.
Yeah,
he's an older guy. Like he was in his late 30s, mid 30s. I want to say I was like 5.
Yeah,
and like I was when I was 5, 6 years old, I can ride a wheelie down the street on my bicycle. You know, and so he was like, "Oh, that's cool, man."
Yeah, that was awesome.
He would go pick up the mail on one of his project bikes. And they're always like, looking back on it, like little Trail 90s and shit like that. And so he would come down and he would always just like egg us on. And we loved him. He was like the coolest guy. And then I remember I was always just like watching him work on him. I had no idea what he was doing, but I'd just sit in his garage and I loved every bit of what was happening. And because my parents never let me be a part of it. Like they didn't stop me, but what I'm saying is they wouldn't support motorcycles because it was to them it was like he's a kid, he's supposed to like this stuff, right?
Yeah, it's
totally understandable why they thought that way. But meanwhile, to me, Terminator 2 came out and John Connor was running in his little it was like a XR 50 or 80 XR80 I think it was, and it sounded like a 2-stroke with like 1,000 gears in it, just wide open. And I wanted to be that kid. I even had that little droop that he had because when I would I'd run over my dad's beer cans and it sounded like
I got a good story about the beer cans too.
And I just remember wanting to be that, and my parents always were kind of like whatever. And so that dude Daniel, he asked my dad one day if he could take me to ride the dirt bike. So we went next to this ditch, and I just rode this little fire road like 100 yards that way, 100 yards back, and I maybe did like 5 little passes, and that was it. Yeah, it was just me, him, and my dad, and I just rode. And I remember
that was it until you were 18. That
was it. That's all I did. I had like maybe 30 minutes ever on a dirt bike or on anything 2 wheels like that. Yeah. And I remember he made me feel so cool. He's like, "Dude, you were doing tabletops. It was so cool, man. Like, that's awesome." Yeah, thinking about it, I need to go back and find him. I need to see if he's still around. But so that was all until I was 18. I ended up getting this GSXR 750 because I was going to grow out of a 600 way too quick.
Oh, yeah.
Totally, big. Yeah, it didn't even make sense. Why spend the money, right?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, totally. I never used a clutch, dog. I didn't even know what a clutch was.
I'm over here complaining about a clutch on a 65.
Yeah.
You're on a Gixxer 750.
So the guy sells it to me, right? My dad came with me for whatever reason. This is like right before Thanksgiving. For whatever reason, my dad comes with me, and he just makes a comment because my dad growing up was always no, like, hey, can I have a quarter for the machine? No. And I was like, well, what about, I just want a bouncy ball. Like, why? You got hundreds of those. I'm like, no, but I want one. Oh, you want that one? You know what I had to do for this quarter? You know how many painstaking hours I worked for this quarter? My mom would be like, give him the damn quarter. And he's like, oh, I don't want the quarter. He's like, nah, you can get it. I was like, I don't want it. Like, you mess with me, right? So the same guy comes with me, and we look at these bikes, and this salesman comes over and just says we have good financing going on, and then one thing led to another, and it was just like, well, you need to build credit.
No way.
Cosigns, right? Cosigns.
No way.
The dumbest thing he could have possibly ever done.
Out of all, yeah.
Yeah. Like, this is not his nature at all.
Right.
You know, like, he was gnarly. Like this, I didn't even get into
basically
growing up.
Co-signed his name to a death wish. Is what
Absolutely.
It was.
If, again, being naive, perfect.
Right,
Shit
let's
happens
do it.
when you're naive, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't, I mean, yeah, I guess didn't realize. I don't know. Whatever happened, it happened, and he co-signs for this bike, and I have to go back to work, so I end up leaving, and I go to work, and they get it delivered over to the house I'm staying at, and I get home from work, and it's there, and this is like at 1 a.m, and I'm just like amped, like I cannot wait to ride this thing. And one of my coworkers, who's a cook, he comes over. He's like, hey, I got to close, but I'll be by like an hour later, and I'll teach you how to ride it. And he had a GSX-R 600. It was the same year. So we were like bros, right? And he comes over and he gives me a little breakdown and shows me how to use it. And I just remember I went to take off. I had all my gear on and everything. And I sit on this thing. And I go and I try to rev it. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. So then I go. And I pull the clutch in, and I start to rev it a little. I click it in gear, and the thing dies. I'm like, what the heck's going on? The kickstand was still down.
No.
It's like, oh, okay. Sorry, guys. And everybody's watching. And I'm like, go inside.
Oh, yeah. You're so nervous.
Don't watch. Get out of here.
Yeah.
So then...
Do you have a motorcycle license or no?
No.
Nothing.
No, absolutely
Nothing.
not. No. That means you would have had to ride the bike.
True.
I'm telling you,
True.
This is me learning how to ride the bike. So I go and I start it back up, kickstands up. Put it in gear. It's like this violent clunk, you know. And then I start to let the clutch out, and then it takes off on its own, and then I roll on, and then I get up to like 2 grand, and I get nervous, so I upshift. So I short shift to like 6th gear, going because I'm terrified of it, right?
Yeah.
So I short shift to like, it might have been honestly it's probably 5th gear, right? And this is maybe 100 yards. I have to go and make a left in the neighborhood going down the street. 100 yards down the street, make a left. I go to turn, and this is the most cumbersome pig I've ever, I didn't have anything to compare it to other than bicycles.
Right.
So I'm like, why is it so heavy? Like, what the hell? And it's like going through a corner 4th gear 15 miles an hour at 2 grand. Like, imagine how crappy that feels. So I go, and then I ride it around a bit more, and I just remember thinking to myself, like, what the hell did I just buy? Like, I zero money down. Just financed the whole thing, 0% for 2 years. Paid minimum payment.
I still paying it off.
Could have been, yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's just like the dumbest thing. And then I was so addicted to it that I just kept doing it.
Yeah.
And then within a month's time, I could ride no problem. And then within 2 or 3 months, I was going into the mountains, you know, riding in the hills and everything. And then I just, once I found a route, there was a 120-mile loop out of where I was from, and it was all left, right. And it just, I did that every day as a server, making six something an hour, I want to say it was, as a server. My checks, I remember my paychecks were like $200.
Wow.
Everything else was tips.
Yeah.
But it was like, it was a turn and burn kind of restaurant. Like it was real quick. So the tips were all like $5, $8, $10, $5, you know, like, so you didn't make much, and I'd end up burning up tires.
Yeah.
And then I remember my buddy, was always telling me, hey, I can get you tires. And, just come to this guy. He'll give them to you X amount of dollars. I'm like, I don't want those tires. I want these ones.
Yeah.
And eventually I went over there. But I remember before I did, I was still a server. And then I started working at FedEx I was loading the trucks, package handler.
Yeah.
And that was from 3 a.m. to 8 o'clock. And then
wow,
yeah.
So you were around the clock.
Oh,
24 hours a day, basically,
just to get time
to
get time, so that way I could make enough money to have tires for my motorcycle.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all I wanted.
That's all you cared about.
That's all that mattered.
Yeah,
that's all that mattered.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
small. Yeah,
and it's just like, I don't know how I even got on the subject. I know that was the point of the story, but it was all just to have tires.
Yeah.
Literally.
It's crazy, the things that we care about sometimes.
Yeah.
So we do anything for the smallest, tiniest things that you've told someone on the outside world, they're like, dude, you're an idiot.
Yeah, totally.
You're an idiot.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. I same here. I've been getting called that my whole life. Probably still am.
Look at these idiots.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Idiots at every Supercross.
The saying, whatever floats your boat. I mean, or different strokes, different folks, whatever you want to call it, it's true. Mm-hmm. It's true. Because we're still just a couple idiots out here, doing what makes us happy.
Yeah, and I'm still on two wheels. I'm still riding bicycles. Yeah. Every week I ride my bicycle a couple times, and
me and you both. Yeah,
it's like, I'm glad I didn't grow out of it, man.
No, I'm so glad. Yeah,
dude, it's crazy because it's like, it scares me to think of not being a part of it.
Yeah. No, me too. I don't really know anything else.
Me neither.
I really don't. My whole life has been racing, and then a little more racing. I mean, really, there's just been no normalcy to anything I've ever done. No normalcy to how I've grown up, to how I've lived my life, to how I plan to live my life from here on out. This is my normal now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just been, it's kind of crazy to think about. If you really stop and think about it, it's nuts. The normal person wouldn't understand.
And the crazy part that I always consider too is I never really got the opportunity to race how I wanted to.
Yeah.
All my stuff was super, super amateur stuff, but I'm not even a racer at this level.
Right.
I'm just there helping out.
Yeah.
And what it took just to be that.
Yeah.
Just to be that. To think of homeboy upstairs.
Yeah.
Still handling it, and all these guys out there that put their body on. We can go on about work ethics, opinions, and this and that of who does what or who should do what, all that stuff. At the end of the day, these guys put their bodies on the line every weekend against other guys who are racing for money. You know what I mean? Like their livelihood is on the line every single weekend. That's just the weekend.
I was just going to say,
just the weekend.
Every day.
Yeah, and then you go and compound that into the seat time training, the preparation, all of that stuff. So they have to live it. It's like, and we expect them to be perfect.
Yeah, all the time.
Always.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that's one thing now I can honestly say I don't miss, actually. Again, I didn't learn this till later on in life, but I actually never I don't want to say enjoyed. I enjoyed it, but I never thrived off of riding, practicing. Mm-hmm. I never really liked that. I'm a competitor. Yeah. I liked racing. I miss racing all the time.
Yeah.
Love racing. Anything competitive gets my juices flowing. But to practice or to ride during the week, or even now people ask me, why don't you ride? It's like, dude, to go ride with my buddies is like, it's not that fun. Yeah. I want to race. I'd rather go right now, roll off this chair, and go line up for your national.
By the way, I want to point out, before we set this up, in the text messages, it's like, Bud, you could come over, you could stay, and then it'd be perfect in the morning if you got time. We could go on a ride. Right. Like, that's the kind of dude you are.
Right.
It's like, let's go do work.
That for sure.
Get after it.
Let's
get after it right now.
No, let's go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's go. I feel like if I'm not doing something, I'm wasting time.
Absolutely.
Seriously, I need to be. If I'm not doing something, I better be sleeping. I better be.
Yeah.
Can't just be relaxing.
Yeah. Oh, it's gnarly.
Yeah, but I forget where I was going with that now.
You're just saying you're always a competitor. You always love racing. You don't like riding necessarily as much.
Yeah. No, that's what I enjoy, and that's what kind of everything I do. I'm a competitive person. I don't really enjoy just like the process, just to go through the process for nothing. You know, there needs to be some form of competition behind it.
That's what my coach used to always drill in our heads. Was the biggest thing he would always say is, he's like, "This is not fun.
Yeah.
This is not meant to be fun. Winning is fun.
Yeah.
If I wanted to have fun, I'd be out on a beach somewhere, drinking rum out of a coconut.
Yeah.
I'd be getting a tan. That's what I'd be doing. But this is not fun."
But you want to, not to cut you off, but you were talking earlier about playing mind games with yourself. So to make things to where I enjoy them, to make them just justify upstairs, to make them competitive, I'll even if it's something, the most pointless little thing ever, if I don't really enjoy doing it, I'll literally play mind games with myself. Like, sounds like the dumbest example ever, but I just thought about it today. So today, me and Brownie were out at Eldon's, and we just had the amateur guys ride today. So they were done riding by like noon or whatever. Well, we had to do some work around the property, like just some manual labor stuff around the facility, and Eldon asked us to help out with it, which was no big deal. But it's Friday, we've had a long week, and dude, I mean, I didn't really want to do it,
Yeah.
But in my mind, I was telling myself, Brownie didn't want to do it either, right? So I'm telling myself, like, okay, like this little competition thing. Like, I don't really want to be out here working. I kind of want to, enjoy my Friday at home. But this guy next to me, he doesn't want to be doing it worse than me. So not only am I going to do this work with a smile on my face, but I'm not going to complain or ask when it's time to go. I'm going to work, and I'm going to make him say something first. So I made it like a competition, who would break first. You know what I mean?
Worst coworker ever.
And sure enough, it's like, next thing I know, it's like, I don't remember the time. It was maybe almost 4:00 or something. Brownie says, man, I think we should call it a day. And that justified to me, like, no, I think you're right. But I wasn't I'd still be out there. If he didn't say something first.
Yeah.
But like that, this sounds so dumb to people listening, but I play mind games like that with myself all the time, just to make it to where I can enjoy it or get into it, get behind it. There's got to be like something.
You got to get the fire going.
Some motivation. Yeah. Because if I was out there by myself today, I'd think, dude, I don't know. I would have did it for sure.
Yeah.
But it would have felt like it took longer, because I would have been going through the motions more than actually doing it,
Yeah.
But I do that with everything.
Yeah.
Everything I do, I try to find some little facet where I can trick my mind to think it's something that it's not, just so I get behind it, just so it's some motivation.
Yeah, it's
no, it's screwed up, dude. It's screwed up.
Yeah, but it's you think of how many people have weird stuff like that, but it ends up being a negative thing. Like they produce something negative. That's the other part. I think sometimes, like,
no,
I think that's where the values and stuff, when you're being raised, carry some weight.
I think so. I haven't figured out fully where it stems from yet. A lot of it had to do with my dad for sure. I just don't know if it's all really a positive or a negative, but I try to use it as a positive for sure. Yeah. But the mind, it's bad. I play mind games myself all. There's a lot of things I don't want to do, and there's a lot of days I'm not motivated. A lot of mornings my alarm goes off and my eyes, it's like everything I can just to peel my eyes open. I'm so tired, but I immediately start thinking of ways to motivate myself for the day, or I'll just beat myself up while I was talking to myself, like, dude, come on, like, stop being late, because I hate lazy people. I cannot stand lazy people. If you're lazy, get away from me. And I'll just lay there, and if I lay there 5 minutes after my alarm, I just like, dude, you come on, do not be a lazy POS today. Let's go. So I just find something to some form of motivation. Some days easier than others, but
Yeah, that's the one thing for me was I've never been a morning person. To me, it's always like, you know what? I'll make up for. I'll do twice as much. Like I'll get an extra hour of sleep, and I will do twice as much as I plan to do just to make up for it.
Right.
Like, I don't have.
That's another thing.
I lose the first battle and I win the next 6.
Right. Yeah. See, that's another thing that I've developed over the years. If I know I'm struggling in an area, I'll actually focus. So like, as a kid, I was never a morning person either.
Yeah.
But I recognized that early on, so I forced myself to be. I would love to sleep in, but
yeah.
I forced myself to be a morning person. Now it's just in routine.
That's gnarly. Even with, do you struggle with the time change at all? With going from different time zone to different time zone? You do?
Yeah, I do. From west to east to west, I'm fine. West to east is gnarly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to get the. If you can't go to bed, you can't go to bed.
Yeah.
Then you get a rough one, and then you get. For me, like getting out this way, it's pretty tough the first day. Like I have to find some way to be tired, right? And then I finally settle in, and then it's like, okay, time to go back to Cali.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a real difficult time with that. But no, I've never been one to. The only time I could pull off getting up early is when I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
But in day to day, like things to myself, I give myself a choice.
Yeah.
But it turns in. But that's where it was going to be a 20-mile mountain bike ride, and it turns into a 36-mile mountain bike ride because I'm punishing myself for it.
Right.
And I'm good with that. Like my buddy, I remember my old cycling teammate. He was kind of my mentor on road bikes, and his deal was he didn't like being in the heat.
Yeah.
So he'd be like, "No, we got to go early." And I'm like, "I hate being cold, so screw you. I'm going to live in the heat."
Yeah.
So I would suffer in the cold just to go on these rides with him, and I learned a lot from being around him. But I just did enough to where I learned what I needed to learn, and I just did that stuff when it was hot in the middle of the day. And then, to be honest, I probably suffered more physically.
Yeah.
But I felt good because I was rested.
Yeah.
And so it was a different thing, and that's. I admire when people can get up early, but I've never. I don't even want that fight because, to be honest, I'd just rather sleep. Sleeping's wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I just don't do enough of it at all. I'll even get if I open my eyes and I can see the sun's up, like
you're wasting time at that point.
I do.
Yeah.
I already feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. I already feel like someone's got something over on me.
That's
and
nice.
I hate that feeling.
Yeah.
I hate that. It's like I've rushed through my day because I'm like, I'm behind. Someone somewhere is ahead of me right now. And I hate that. It's like a race to catch up. And then my whole day is just not right. So I always try to get up before the sun. Always.
That's crazy, dude. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe one day. Nah.
Yeah, I don't think it's the healthiest mindset.
Well, I remember when I think we were driving up to Maine, and we threw that podcast on with the sleep guy.
Oh
yeah. I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
This guy's full of it.
Right. No, I mean he's probably some good points, but I'm not listening.
Dude, I'll look at his hair. There's no way he's telling the truth. No way he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. No. I can struggle. I struggle to sleep in bad. I wish I could. I probably feel a lot better.
I don't know. I think the work output, I think is rewarding enough. It probably balances it out.
Yeah.
So you could say it does.
2 negatives make a positive.
Yeah, all the time.
All the time,
right?
That's what I think anyway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Cheers to negatives.
Right.
What was I going to say? So you went... Obviously, you went through riding from minis all the way up to big bikes where you started racing nationals.
Yeah.
Where did you leave off? Why did you leave off?
Why did I stop?
Yeah, what happened?
So, a number of things, really. I was just a struggling privateer for years. And looking back, I probably had a lot more potential than I thought I did, or I was definitely a lot better than I thought I was, but I never ever believed in myself enough, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing or what it took.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just struggled. Really, just felt like I was beating my head against the wall for years, not really getting anywhere career-wise. But throughout that, I had a lot of knock on wood, no big injuries as far as, you know, I'm all good on that end as far as like daily life goes, but just my shoulders, I had bad messed both shoulders up at a young age, separate times, but never took the time to get them fixed. Just like that story I told you about the concrete truck, you know, that was my left shoulder. So yeah, my shoulders were just wrecked and just kept dislocating. I'd dislocate my right, come back, you know, be favoring that side and then dislocate my left. So yeah, my shoulders just destroyed. And I think I got my left one fixed first. Got that fixed. And yeah, for anyone that knows, with, you know, it's just shoulder surgery like that. My labrums were the problem, but there's a bunch. I had let them go so long. There was so much other stuff torn, and
like what's left after a labrum's gone, though, you know?
I did labrum supraspinatus, infrafrinatus. I never did my rotator cuff. Actually, I dodged a bullet there. But everything else was just torn for so long, and then there was just floating cartilage. I had no cartilage left, really. Yeah. So, yeah, I did my left one first, got that one fixed, and that was a long time off the bike. And then, trying to think of the year now. That one was good, actually. But my right one was still all jacked up. And I was kind of on borrowed time with my right one. Mm-hmm. And at the end of 2015, so I was actually riding for a team in Canada. I rode for them in 14, had a pretty good year. I think I finished 5th in points up there. And then I went back in 2015, and it was just a nightmare. Team was, I don't really know what happened, but in 14 it was good. The bikes were good support. And I don't know if they lost a sponsor, they were lacking budget or what, but they were... the bikes were just terrible. It just was not good. They were blowing up pretty much every weekend, and even when they were running, they were just slow. So, 2015 was a bad year. I ended up quitting the team pretty much halfway through the year. Had a friend from New York get me some Yamahas. I didn't know what I was going to do next, honestly, but when I got Yamahas, there was, I think, it was Ironman National. That was the end of the year. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't raced in the States all year. I hadn't done a U.S. National since almost 2 years. So I went and raced Ironman just on a whim. I had stock Yamaha, maybe 3 days on the bike. Went and raced Ironman, did okay. I think I scored a couple points maybe. And I had no idea what was next. I basically had been a struggling privateer my whole life and had nothing outside of racing. I had been good friends with Cooper Webb for a long time, and I don't remember exactly how it happened. I did Ironman, and then I went back home, and then that fall back home we have a bunch of big money races in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much just raced, and I had those new Yamahas that my buddy got for me. So I raced every single weekend pretty much until it started snowing outside. So like from Ironmans and out in August, raced all the way through to November. Made a bunch of money doing these local races, probably the most fun I'd ever done. It kind of felt like I'd, reinvigorated myself a little bit. I really liked the bikes, and it was kind of a low pressure situation. I was driving into all these races in my van and, making decent money. So I definitely plan to keep racing. And I don't really remember how the conversation went with Coop, but he kind of knew I was pretty down and out before then and didn't know what was next for me personally, He was living in California at the time. He was riding for Star and training with Swanee. So he said, like I said, I forget this part really, but he basically said, just come out and live with me. I don't know. He wanted some help with some things, personally. And I don't know why he thought of me. I really don't, or what exactly he had in mind. Mm-hmm. But I had nothing else, and it was about to start snowing in New York, and I had a good little bit of money saved up from doing those races. So I'm like, I had nothing else going on, so I loaded up my van, drove out to California, and was staying with him, and like I said, planned to keep racing and everything. So I had known his trainer, Gareth Swanepoel. I had known him for a year or so. Not extremely well, but we were buddies. And then I was living in the coop. I literally had nothing else to do but train every day. So me and Swanee really hit it off. And that's really who really got me into cycling. I got the bug from him. And he kind of took me under his wing and started teaching me a lot on the training side. Because I always trained hard. Looking back, I trained way too hard. Yeah. Way too hard. Yeah. But I didn't know any better. But he really started teaching me a lot of things. And this was end of 15 going into 16. And I didn't have bikes to do Supercross and have money to do Supercross. So kind of came up with a game plan. I'm like, hey, I'm going to actually stay in California. And yeah, I had the best shot of doing well I ever had because I was training with Swanee. He agreed to help me out. I could live at Coops for free. And I think I found a way for my bikes to go to all the nationals for 2016. And yeah, I was gung ho. I was gonna, like I said, I kind of felt reinvigorated and was gonna keep the dream alive, I guess, on my bottom dollar somehow. Yeah. And then, right beginning of 2016, I crashed and destroyed my right shoulder again. Dislocated my right shoulder, and I also broke the glenoid bone, which is basically the shoulder socket bone. So that was my right shoulder was done and needed to get it fixed. And once that happened, I was just over it. It was the wind was out of my sails. Yeah, it was that was the writing on the wall for me. I didn't realize it at the time, but I'm like, dude, I need another surgery. Now I have no money. Like I had no money before. Now I have negative. For sure, no money. Yeah. Now I have like negative no money. Yeah, bad. And everything I had lined up, obviously, it wasn't happening. I wasn't. This was in like February, so I wasn't starting riding until I don't know June or something crazy. So my insurance was so bad because I had no money. I could. There was a really good doctor who hooked me up with in California. Couldn't even get surgery out there because my insurance wouldn't cover it. So I had to fly back to New York, get surgery by this doctor. Did my left one, which knock on wood, he was pretty good. But that was it for me. No idea what was next. Flew back to California because I had my van and everything out there. And Coop did help me out with a therapist. I got good therapy on that shoulder. But pretty much by that point, me and Swanee had grown so close. He pretty much offered me a job right then and there. He had gotten the deal to train the whole star team by then, and he was also helping a few privateers and kind of was spread a little bit too thin, bit off more than he can chew. And he's like, hey, why don't you stay out here, work for me? I'll help you with anything you need to know. We do need to get you some schooling though on the training side of things. And it just gave me a really good opportunity that I to this day cannot thank him enough for. He pretty much changed my life. And that's it made the decision easy for me to just stop racing. That wasn't getting me anywhere. Yeah. And by the time my shoulder was good enough where I could start riding again, I'm just like, dude, I sold the bikes and everything. I'm like, dude, I'm over. I sold the bikes. Actually, I needed money. I had no money. So, but yeah, by the time I could start riding, I'm like, dude, I'm just going to, I kind of saw the opportunity I was given, and I was smart enough to, take advantage of it and go full steam ahead. And then, from then on, I haven't looked back. I haven't looked back a bit. I don't regret it. And like I said, everything happens for a reason. And the last shoulder I did with the right shoulder dislocation, having to get surgery was probably a blessing, honestly. Yeah.
It's crazy how that happens, huh?
Nuts. Crazy. But since then it's just been, I stayed with Swanee that was 2016. So, was it? Yeah, it was 16. So, 16, 17, 18. And then, it's kind of another long story. But kind of after Outdoors 2018, I had nothing against Swanee at all. We're still great friends to this day. He still helps me out a lot, but I just wanted to, I'm an East Coast guy, and I wanted to get back to my roots a little bit. So split off from him and wanted to kind of take the world on my own, and kind of thought I had it figured out. And I got to say, I gave it a pretty good run on my own. I probably learned the most I ever have in my life from September 2018 to September 2019 was the biggest lessons I've ever learned in life, when I was just completely on my own, training guys in North Carolina. And really, really had to figure a lot out, figure out how to make ends meet big time. And then that kind of led into the opportunity I got down here in Florida at Baker's factory.
That's rad.
But yeah, it's a lot of like there's probably stories I forgot about for those years. But talk about learning a lot. I think when I was completely on my own with no backbone, no support, no outside income coming in, that's when I really had to buckle down. And I learned the most for sure about myself and about my job, and how to help each guy, and training methods, training techniques, everything. It was a big learning curve. But
I couldn't imagine.
Oh yeah, it was gnarly, but it was awesome. But I don't regret it a bit.
Yeah, I remember when you got the North Carolina plates on your truck.
Yeah.
You're like, no, this is for real.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
No, I love North Carolina. Charlotte, North Carolina, to me is the best
Cornelius,
place on earth. Yeah,
all that whole area.
No, I love it.
So awesome.
I would go back yesterday if I could.
I know. I agree.
I love it.
Honestly, I cannot put into words how thankful I am to be where I'm at right now. But Charlotte, or not Charlotte, but that whole area in North Carolina is like a very, 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 very close second place. Very close.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah,
it's the best,
great.
man.
Lake Norman.
Lake Norman is the best.
The best. The Green Machine. Shout out to Beam.
I love it.
It's too much.
I love it.
But no, man, it's really rad. Really, really rad. Where was you made that when you decided to, or basically when you had to kind of let go and stop racing and everything? Where was your pops in the picture?
So he was just back in New York.
Mm-hmm.
As I got older, basically like when I got a license, 16, whatever. That's when I started realizing we were struggling to get by. I kind of realized, hey, gas isn't free. Sign up's not free. And so like I said, he owned his small masonry business. I would, if I wanted money, because I think I was turned 16, I was still in the B class, so I was living off contingency money, and then I would work for him during the week. So our relationship kind of changed the older I got. We were pretty good, got along well. We had a blowout. I mean, he was hard on me for sure.
Yeah.
We didn't have too many blowouts though until I started. I was old enough to drive and go practice by myself, and then I got 18 and I could go sign myself up at the race. I didn't need a guardian or anything like that. But our relationship changed. It was just too much because he was my dad, but he was also. Anytime I wasn't working for him full time, but anytime I needed cash, I'd work for him. So he'd be my boss during the day, and then he'd be moto dad on the weekends. And it got to be a lot. We had a lot of blowouts, and he wanted the best for me. Obviously, he was just a tough old school guy, for sure. Like nose to the grindstone, no bullshit, work hard, no excuses, like that kind of man, that kind of mentality, which is awesome now. I'm really, really happy with the way I was raised now. At the time, I wasn't. I thought, like, man, my dad is so hard on me. Like, I don't do anything right. He's just, just trying to be a dick. But he was. I understand a lot of where he's coming from now. But to answer your question, so, we had so many blowouts, and our relationship really wasn't that good. And basically, when I went to California, our relationship didn't get good or better until I went to California to live with Coop, because I was pretty much out of his hair. Not that I was, from the time I got my license when I was 16, when I went there, I was 23. I wasn't like living home or living with him that whole time, but we were in contact enough. He was at a lot of the races, or I was back in New York enough to where we were painting each other's ass, you know. And then, yeah, when I went out to live with Coop, that's of course, when I went out there, he thought I was retarded. He's like, you know, what, you're going to be back. What are you doing? You're just wasting your life, this and that. But yeah, obviously it worked out when I met Swanee and he took me under his wing and whatnot. So that's when our relationship got better. And this probably sounds bad, but I don't mean it in a negative way. It was good because we only talked, you know, twice a week, maybe.
Yeah.
I wasn't racing anymore. He wasn't spending any money. I wasn't spending my last dollar trying to race. So it was better. We were back to being, you know, he would go to, you know, Southwick National, Unadilla National. We'd hang out, and yeah, it was much more normal then. So the last year there before he passed was good. We were kind of, we had a good relationship.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it was good. I'm thankful for that because it wasn't good before then, especially by the time I was like 21, 22, 23, because like, you know, after 19, it sounds bad, but like after age 20, you know if you're going to be successful or not. And I really wasn't. I was, you know, just struggling I was maybe scoring a point right on that bubble of scoring points every weekend. That's not getting you anywhere. Yeah, like, okay, it's pretty good, and like you're a good rider, but that's not. You got to get on with life at some point. And he realized that, and deep down I did too, but I didn't know anything else. So that's where we were butting heads. And then, you know, I didn't want to be a mason, but I had no other choice. That's my form of making money, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, he'd be screaming at me on the weekends, or if he didn't go to the race, he'd watch on TV and, you know, yell at me for that. And then on Monday we'd work together, and then he'd yell at me for screwing something up at the job, and it was too much. So that last year when I split off entirely and just kind of started my own life, that was good. It was good for both of us. Let's put it that way.
And what year did he pass away?
So I left. That was 2016, the end of 2016. So it was like exactly a year. So I, end of 15, I went back home. I went back to New York and was doing all those local races back home. And then I left New York 15. Like November, like end of October, 1st November maybe. And then 2016, like November 6th it was, he passed away. So it's like exactly a year. But no, I mean, that year was awesome though. I was so thankful for that because it wasn't my dad in a way anymore because he was so overbearing on me. My whole life was just so hard on me. Everything I did I was getting harped on, or there was some sort of repercussion. So I got a taste of that year of what it was like to where like it was normal. Like he knew what I was doing or what I was up to, but it wasn't overbearing or like looking over my shoulder all the time. And yeah, when I'd call him, you know, once, twice a week, and we'd talk normal. He'd ask, oh, you know, hey, Coop rode good this weekend, or, you know, how's California, how's this, that, and then it was just normal. So I'm really thankful for that last year, which, worked out well because it was unexpected, you know, when he passed away, for sure, unexpected. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Everyone kind of treats death differently. Some people get all sad and emotional about it, and of course I was at the time, but it's part of life. You know what I mean? You gotta sack up and move on. You know, it sucks to say that, but everyone has their day.
That's the truth.
Yeah, everybody has their day. That was unexpected, but again, in a way, man, it also sounds bad. I don't know if this is tough for me to say, but if I could change it, even going all the way back to my mom, I was only 8 when she passed, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I mean, of course, like, I will love my parents here, but at the same time, I wouldn't be here in this house, in this situation, you know? Like, I don't know. For both those deals, especially my dad's one, because I was old enough to understand by that point, like, dude, you learn a lot when you're put in a situation where, I know I say it all the time, but you do not have a choice. You learn a lot about you learn what you're made of.
Yeah.
You know, the fight or flight syndrome. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't easy, but got through it. I don't know if you ever threw it though. I don't know.
I think that it's one of those. It's definitely eye opening. It's an understatement to say that, but it's. We're here.
Yeah.
And it could be over tomorrow.
For sure. Yeah.
It could be over tomorrow, man. And when you're younger, you don't really grasp that.
No.
And nobody teaches you about death. Death teaches you about death.
Death, it does, yeah.
You know, but death also teaches you about life.
Yeah.
And your place in it. You know.
Well, that's kind of what I learned a lot. It's kind of almost an oxymoron. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I've had, you know, because like we were talking earlier, I live life pretty wide open, you know. But after my dad's death, I've had people ask me, you know, you should slow down a little bit, you know, or just kind of people thinking that would change my perspective on life a little. But in fact, that's probably made me go more wide open, because you're right, it can be over tomorrow.
Yeah.
And
you still got shit to do.
Yeah, and my old man was just a gnarly workaholic guy, you know. But he used to always tell me, I'll work till the day I die. Like, I'm not going to retire. He was a workaholic. That's all he knew. But he literally worked till the day he died, you know. And it's fitting. Like, I don't think I would want to go out any other way than that. Like, I want to go wide open till the train runs off the tracks.
Yeah, it's
you know what I mean?
You want to burn out rather than fade away.
Like my man Neil Young says, it's better to burn out than fade away.
Yeah.
And like, that might be extreme to say that, but I truly think that.
Yeah.
I truly do. Whether it's tomorrow or 90 years from now, I want to be running hard when I go. I don't want to just drift off into the sunset with a safe, you know, to take the safe route, or with, you know, and like, with money, people get so tied up about money. Like, you really can't take it with you. There's got to be, you got to be smart with it. But I've looked at things differently now, for sure. Whether, you know, for better or for worse. But I do that change me drastically.
Yeah.
Drastically. I don't think I realized it at the time. I still don't know if I fully grasp how much it changed me. But it changed me a lot.
I think sometimes it depends on how much you slow down and reflect, you know, and with your habits and lifestyle, you probably don't slow down as much. I'm sure you reflect a little bit, but But I mean, life will put you where it needs to.
For sure.
So you can't, and that's another thing, you could be proactive, but you don't also need to dwell either. Everything kind of comes to you. It's better when it comes to you.
Yeah.
You know, you could be searching. Well, then if you're searching, then your mind is open in a different way.
Yeah.
Then it can come to you, but that's all appropriate for each individual on their own time.
Yeah.
You know, it's different for everybody. That is something I do know, you know, that it just, as long as you have good in your heart and you have, you know, mainly just good in your heart, it'll work itself out.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, no, that whole deal was, it was weird, man. It was hard for me, obviously, but it didn't hit me straight away. And like I wasn't living I was living out in California at the time, and that was probably a blessing. Just because I went back home, for the funeral and all that, and then I had a lot of stuff to take care of. With he was, like I said, I'll talk about us not ever having much. He was, pretty much in debt up to his eyeballs, and had a lot of stuff go sideways with the house and whatnot, and I was responsible for all that, which no one tells you about that. Mm-hmm. Hey, when a family member dies, you got to take care of everything they ever had. Like, okay, that wasn't, I had no idea. So yeah, I had all that stuff, but I wasn't in New York though, which helped. Went back for like a week or so, and then went back to California, and then dealt with everything else through email and the mail and all that. But yeah, that it was a godsend having the people I had around me at the time to completely take my mind off of it, and and just not being in until this day. Actually, I don't like if I actually meet someone new and they ask me where I'm from. I don't even say New York. I'll say North Carolina. I really don't like going back to where I'm from because my old man had he knew everybody. So like even when I went back for that week, obviously that was expected because it just happened. But everyone, I could go to the store to get coffee. Like everyone around town. Because I'm from a very small town too. For people that don't know. A very small town in New York, upstate New York. So everyone knows everybody. But yeah, anywhere I went, it was, oh man, hey, sorry about your dad. And that first week, yeah, totally understandable. But then I would go back. I didn't go back for another, I don't know, whenever Unadilla is, the next year, Southwick or whatever, I can't remember. But almost a year later, people, hey, I'm sorry about you. And it's like, dude, come on, man. Like I'm writing my own chapter now. You know what I mean? I want to move on from that. But till this day, if I go back and I'll go somewhere, hey man, hey, you been okay? How you been, man? Hey, I'm real, everything good with you? I'm real sorry for it. It's like, dude. So I really, really don't like that at all.
Yeah.
It probably sounds bad for me to say, but that's a big part of why I'll never go back to New York for sure. I will never ever live in that state again, and I don't even enjoy going back to where I'm from. Which I don't think that's cool. I think everyone should kind of enjoy going back to where their roots a little bit. I don't at all.
I beg to differ. I think that when we went back for that week was pretty good, man.
Oh yeah.
Cause there's still
for sure. My close friends. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. But that week I stayed very hidden.
I get what you're saying.
Just to go to live.
You're there specifically visiting with them.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. There's probably 8-9 people that I love.
Yeah.
But outside of them, no.
I understand.
Like going back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole experience changed me drastically. Probably for the better, though. I hate to say that, but yeah. Probably for the better, because I woke up quickly. I woke up quickly.
But you don't have a choice, though.
No.
You don't have a choice as far as for the better or worse. And I mean, I'm sure you maybe have a vice here and there or something, but that's like quitting. It's like losing. It's like failing. You have no choice but to get up and keep grinding.
Yeah. No, and that's part of my, it kind of links into where I'm going next with this, is like part of my just raw desire, how I go about life and attack things head on, is I always had a burning desire, like I said about just the way I was raised and stuff and how tough my dad was on me. It was like I cannot do anything right. And I was told on different occasions, like you keep doing something this way, you're not going to ever be anything, or why can't you be more like this kid or this kid? I was told all that stuff at a young age, and created a burning desire to prove him wrong.
Yeah,
burning. which I don't know if that's the healthiest motivation, but it was a motivation.
Work, huh?
And the crazy part is he's been gone now for over 3 years, going on 4 years, and that desire hasn't gone away.
Yeah.
Like I'm like almost like I'm like bummed he's not here, because I'm like, dude, I have came a long way. I'm like, I want to show him, like, you know what I mean? I can do it. I can do whatever I set my mind to do, you know? But that desire on a daily basis is still there. Today, out at the farm, working with Brownie, when I was trying to play those mind games with myself to, hey, not quit. We're staying out here till dark if he don't say he wants to quit first. I literally thought if Marty was my dad's name, if Marty was here, what would he be making me do? I'd be out here till dark.
Yeah.
And I have that desire every day to prove him wrong. Yeah. He's not even here. So I don't know if that's healthy, but it gets me through. Well, it gets me by 24 hours at a time.
If that's how he held you accountable, though, and he ain't here, and you're still carrying that, even without his presence, dog, I'm telling you that worked.
Yeah.
He has no choice but to have been proud, you know.
It's deep. It's deep because I think anyway I come across as an easygoing guy. I think that, but I try to be, but I'm not deep down inside. I'm not at all. You know what I mean? I have a bad fire in my belly.
I'd say you're a friendly guy. You're a very friendly guy. Easygoing, depends. You know, am I competing with him? What am I doing with him?
Yeah. But no, dude, that really, I actually have one of my riders, Michael Mosman. He loves to ask people what motivates them.
Yeah.
And before I knew him that well, when I first got down, he asked one day, "What motivates you?" And he was serious, and I've never had anyone ask me that before. And I got thinking about it, and I kind of already knew that, like what I was just telling you about proving my old man wrong. But I'm like, I can't tell this kid that, you know, and I actually still haven't said that because I don't. It kind of sounds off the wall, you know, and I don't really know him well enough. He'd probably, I don't know what he'd think of me actually if I told him that. But that I can answer him on here. Actually, that's what motivates me, is proving my dad wrong, and my dad's passed away, and that's. Yeah, I just don't know if that's the best motivation, but dude, 24 hours at a time, it gets me through. And you know, it's almost midnight now, so today's about up, and then start over tomorrow. And the fire in my belly will be there when I wake up. I promise you.
Yeah.
And it eats at me badly, dude, bad. So yeah, I like you were saying earlier with the demons, you know, I keep them suppressed. But I manage them. I don't think anyone ever beats their demons. In fact, I don't like that saying.
I stopped expecting that.
No, I don't like that saying. Someone says, "I beat my demons." No, you didn't, dude. No, you. That's demons. What makes you
that
great.
That means they won. You say that
exactly. Demons what makes you keep your friends close and your demons closer.
Yeah, seriously.
But yeah, that's. I mean, it'll start all over again tomorrow, and the head game start again.
Always.
But it works, you know.
I think on that note, thank you for setting the demons aside and taking the time. It's been 2 hours, 10 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Went by fast.
Went by real fast. That's how I know it's good.
Yeah. I agree. That was awesome.
Thank you for that, man. This is the
stoked.
first one. I don't know when or how I'm going to release these, but they will get released, and this was
I'm so glad I could be your first one. I'm so glad.
I'm so glad too.
I haven't had anyone tell me that in a long time. Probably about 12, 13 years.
No, man, I knew it'd be good, and I appreciate it, man. Like I said, again, going back to easygoing, I don't know that I'd use that word. You're super friendly, but I'm glad that tonight you were easygoing and able to take the time to help me out with this and all that. And I love you, brother, and I'm glad that we're sitting here in this beautiful home.
Yeah, I agree. Now the feeling's mutual, and I'm stoked I got to do this. This is awesome.
Rock on, man.